Hello, it's Tristan here from Zebra Invest, and 2 weeks ago I popped up a video here on YouTube, a little short just before I went on holiday, saying that I will find you a deal. So I'm going to go out there using property data to find a buy, refurbish, refinance, flip, rent to rent, title split, possibly looking at annexes, using some of their keyword data and some of the special tips I use to find deals day to day in my business. And they were going to be anywhere in the country, anywhere except Norwich. So there were 5 lucky people who replied. And what I'm going to do over the next 5 weeks is you can get a video for each of those ones showing how I've used the software to let you jump in and find those deals. So if you're going to stick with me, you're going to be able to use these series of videos, how you can go out and find those deals yourself down the line. So what we're going to do is we'll head over to PropertyData, where I've also got a discount code for you that will give you 50% off your first month, plus it's going to give you a 14-day free trial. So it's pretty much the first month for free. You're going to find that also below the video as well. If you want to go jump into that anytime you can. So the first person that was lucky enough to get this was Sam Beddoe. She commented in below explaining that she's in the P07 area in Hampshire. She'd quite like a buy, refurbish, refinance project. The only thing with this means is with a buy, refurbish, refinance, it means you're probably going to be looking for cash flow. And I know myself, having used to live in Portsmouth, is actually quite a high value area. So we need to look for properties where there's going to be a slight angle on them to be able to get a higher cash flow. So whether that's either going to be something that we can find where we know we're definitely going to be able to get a really low, below market value property, somewhere we can add a lot of value, so then the cash flow will then be able to cover the mortgage. Chances are, because the stress test on a mortgage, you can have a look at those online to work out what they are. It might be hard to do that. So I'm thinking we might be go down the line of something like an HMO or something like an Airbnb property where you can hand it over to a local managing agent. They can look after the property completely for you, and then we're going to be able to get the uplift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to head over to PropertyData. I'll give you a little bit of a whirlwind tour of that, and then we'll jump in, show you around, and show you how I find a deal. So if you are thinking of using PropertyData, head over to Cutley, cut.ly/PropertyData with a capital P and a capital D. That will send you straight over there, and this will allow you to jump into PropertyData. Use the discount code ZEB. That's going to get you straight on there and being able to log in, use the website, and get 50% off your first month, and then obviously 14-day free trial as well. So that's pretty much a free month. So the first thing we're going to do when we're on PropertyData is we're going to head over and do a little bit of research on the local area. So what I've done is I've taken Sam's postcode. She's given me an area called P07. I found a postcode that's slap bang in the middle. And the idea is, what we want to do is draw a radius in area so we can get a good idea for what's going on in that local market. And seeing as I'm from Norwich, I don't live in Southampton, I don't live in Portsmouth anymore, I don't have that much amount of knowledge about the area. So this can be a great way to be able to understand what's going on around it, to then be able to make your decision. So what you do, you set the area, and you can see here it instantly draws a circle. You can draw a custom area if you wanted to. I'm just going to keep going here until I've got loads of data points. You can see there it's saying 2,900. It's probably almost as much as I want to go. Keep going a little bit further so we can troll this data. Hopefully that doesn't go over 4,000, because if it does, there we go. Run that search. So we've got a huge area of data there. And the reason it's quite good when you pull this through on PropertyData, it's going to give you an idea of what all the properties are worth roughly in that area. So you can see here that we can see a studio flat, the average price is 100 grand, 1 bed is 160, 2 beds 250, and so you can get a good idea for where kind of the money is going to be at. And the easiest thing that you can do here is, so this is just trying to get a feel for it, so we get a rough idea of what things are worth. The other bit what I quite like knowing is how much a property is worth on the pound per square foot. And the reason being is this is a really simple metric to be able to have a look at it and work out what something's worth. So I'm going to say here it's 328. And this is based on, I think, properties that are on market. And what you can do is you can also click here. If you click the sold data as well, you can then open up and see what the pound per square foot is based on what stuff has actually been selling for in the area. And here you can see actually in the last year or so, the average sold is 312. So we've got a pretty good idea of what we can guess roughly what properties are going to be worth based on the size of those properties. So you can see, looking at property data, it bases the price on what it's being able to get defined on its rental data, whereas pulls it in from Rightmove, On the Market, and Zoopla, and it's putting that all against what the house price, the average price is. It seems to think a studio flat is going to be the best bang for your buck. But as we know, studio flats are going to be associated with service charges, they're going to be shared in the building. Chances are they're going to be smaller than most, and because they're smaller than most, you might not be able to get a mortgage on them. So they're not necessarily the best investment, and not likely to kind of appreciate in value quite as much. But when you look at the HMO room let data in here in the area, it seems to think 3 beds again are performing best based on the 3 bedroom average in a property on a 3 bedroom house in the area. But as we know, if you've got a 3 bedroom house, chances are you can convert a living room or another space into another bedroom, and then you can have a 4th bedroom. The only downside is that Portsmouth does have an Article 4 direction, which is on its doorstep. So it might be that you look to purchase properties outside of Portsmouth, and this is where it could work quite well, just possibly near, like say, like a hospital or something like that, to be able to get a higher return or yield. And then as we look here, you can see it's a good area and it's had decent performance and growth in the last few years. Where you can see over the last 3 years, it's had a 14% increase in prices and 21% over the last 5 years. So a decent amount of growth there, which makes it, I would hazard a guess by sound likes the area, a decent investment area. And you can see as well how much of the property has been turning. And you can see like 138% of stock turnover. So properties that are on the market for rent here are absolutely flying out the door. People want to pay for them, they want to get into them and move into them. You can see they're taking less than 22 days to rent, which is fantastic because we know we're not going to get much of a void when it comes to using these properties. The other bit in the area, as before, I had average prices of what we were looking at for things, what they would rent for and what they would sell for. So this gives you a good idea for what a 4-bedroom property would set rent for, £1,700. And then you've got a good idea for what other stuff in the area, different sizes work. When we come in here, this is the great part I think about property data, is using this axis. So what it is when you come in, you can basically look at all the properties that are available in the area. Anything on the left-hand side is where it's going to be cheaper per pound per square foot, and on the right-hand side is where it's more expensive. And it goes up to the top is a bigger property. So how does this work? When an estate agent finds a property, if they list it online, they'll say how big the property is. This takes the average size of the property, or it takes the size of the property and divides it by the price. So we know anything that's sitting in the bottom left-hand corner here is stuff where it's going to be a little bit cheaper. So let's have a quick look at these and see what we've got down here. And again, I did used to live in the area, but it's not going to be my best area. The idea is if you're looking at the stuff that's on the cheap end, the chances are it's below market value and you can add a decent amount of value to it already. So let's take a quick look through these that I've opened up. Here we've got Twyford Avenue in Portsmouth. It was last listed in 2019. They've stuck up by £20,000 since then. Which is an interesting little piece of knowledge to learn. That is an extra tool called Property Tracker. So if they put it up by £20,000, the chances are they're going to take 10, 20 grand off it. But the interesting bit here is we can see it's the share of freehold, and it's saying it's 936 square meters, or square foot. But if it is that large a property, look through, it does look a bit tired. I mean, they put some new carpets in, they have redecorated in white. You can see here, it looks like there's been a leak on the ceiling that's been plastered at some point. The carpets look fairly new and fresh. I'm going to hazard a guess that this is a really decent sized property, and there might even be potential to turn it into a 3-bed. So if this is, as you can see here, it says in the area here, a 2-bedroom property is worth 173. But being a larger property, could we add value to that property and turn it into a 3-bed? Well, the simplest way to be able to work this out is using property data itself. So what we can do is you can head down on the little slide here, down to valuation. And what this is going to ask us a few questions, but it's given us the internal area here already at 936. And if we say this is now going to be a 3-bedroom property, and we say it's got 1 bathroom, we're going to say once we've refurbished it, we've got high standard. Unfortunately, we've got no outdoor space, no off-street parking. And I'm going to say this building, probably pre-1914, and then you can just click value. So it's going to roughly work out straight off the bat what we think that property is worth. And here we can see, look, as a 3-bedroom property that's worth maybe £210,000, it's bringing up comparables in the area. Like you can see, this property is a similar size, £180,000. Here we go, just over. So 180 probably to me might look a little bit more realistic. But if we have got 180, they're saying, here we go, 180,000 to 195, and that's saying 210. So I'd probably go in at 190. So with that, I'm just going to open up my calculator. And then to show you the calculator. If the end value of that property is £190,000, times that by 0.75, which is 75% loan value, comes down to 142,000. Times that by 0.92, that comes down to 131,100. And what I've done there is I've taken the end value of the property, which you said is 190,000. We've taken off £25,000, 25%, which would be the deposit that if you're recycling your cash, you'll need to put in at the end. Taking off 8% cost for buying, so that's the idea, is for stamp duty, legal costs, finance costs to get into the deal, and that's going to be so that leaves £131,000. So if you wanted to be no money left in, you'd have to buy it for this minus what the refurbishment costs are. So say, for example, the refurbishment costs are going to be, say, £20,000. And in this case, we'd have to buy that property for £110,000. The thing is, it was on the market here for 149,000. It's probably not going to be able to get it quite that low. But when you did see, because we've got the data that we had beforehand using Property Tracker at the same time, we see the last price still at 130. If you manage to get this for, say, for example, 140,000, which is split in their range, then that's going to give you 30 grand of cash left in the deal. And that will actually probably stack up as quite a nice little deal there. So Twyford Avenue, that is one Buy Refurbish Refinance deal. It's probably going to stack up quite nicely. But the whole idea was I wasn't going to jump in and just get you the one. We should have a look at another. So here we go. We are in West Street in Havens. So West Street in Havens, we can see here this is a quite a nice size flat, decent views, and it's covering the whole top floor. Well, a lot of the top floor. You see here, look, there's really decent sized rooms, nice kitchen. It's not too old. Not quite today's cup of tea. Reasonable bathrooms. You see, I'm going to have to guess that someone, they've got living aids or whatever else, so they don't want to be on the top floor anymore, they want to move out. You can see the furniture's just a little bit old, a little bit tired. You can see it's actually a really decent sized property. And when you click here, you can see, look, lounge stroke diner. And then here we've got rather large bathroom. I think, I'm hoping I've drawn this correctly. But there is an easy way to be able to tell whether it is the right size. I'm going to have a quick look, see if we've got the EPC. We don't have the actual, let's see if there's the full property address. Unfortunately, it's not giving me the full property address, but let's just say it is this size property. If it is, as it says, 105 square meters, then that could possibly split into 2 properties. Granted, you'd have to have a chat with the freeholder, but you might be able to split this into 2 properties. And by doing that, you could then have it as a 3-bedroom. And you're thinking, Tristan, how on earth are you going to turn this property into a 3-bed? Well, we saw just how big that lounge kitchen diner was, but the issue here is access to light. So it might be that you turn and say, actually, we carve off a bedroom across here, and we have a small bedroom here, so 1, 2, 3, one idea. You might be able to look inside the property, see how you might be able to rearrange it, turn the bedroom into a lounge kitchen diner across the back here, and that might split into 2 properties. The other bit is if you could turn it into a 3-bedroom property, the same question goes. Can you turn this into a 3-bedroom property, and what might it be worth? So one of the simple bits we've got here is we can see with this property, it's 1,139 square meters. So if we turn that by the average of 200 square foot in the corner, it's saying this property could be worth up to £300,000 in good condition and possibly turned into a 3-bedroom property. So let's say it's worth 300,000. My figures again, 0.75 and 0.92. So to be no money left in, we're going to be at £207,000. To do that work sales property, are you thinking it might cost, say, £30,000? So that's going to be 177. And the difference here is roughly 20,000. So if you're happy to have £20,000 worth of cash left in the deal at the end of the day, this could stack as a Buy Refurbish Refinance. Then again, look, let's not just be a 1 or a 2 trick pony. I'm going to have a look. This looks quite far too residential for me. It doesn't look like something I can add that much value to it. It's quite close to the A3, albeit it's in Waterlooville. It's saying here that the average 4-bed in the area is £561,000. I'm not quite sure why this one is so low. But what you can do is you can quickly click into the area to have a look around. It seems to think that properties around here, you get 435 for a 4-bed. So open that one up. 450 seems to be in a similar area. I might be completely wrong here. That looks like a very similar property. And there you go, 1,000 square meters, 1,000 square foot. Again here, this is total size, it's saying of 830 plus this, so we're about 1,300. Now property here is 1,490, so it's a really decent sized property. So let's have a quick look through the picture to see what's going on. I mean, the kitchen is tiny for a property probably of that size. You'd want to rearrange that. It's a nice kitchen. It's, you know, kind of a new build standard, but it just needs a bit of a wow, but it does really. You see, what you need is you open it up straight across the back and you find a nicer space. So this looks like to me like the kind of be a flip. You can see here it's going to tell us roughly what the price has been selling for in the local area. So this does look like if we've got 1,490 times like 414. 600 grand. I'm going to say this property to me does look like it is on the market undervalued, probably about 150 grand, but I don't know the area. Anyway, this property by the looks of it might be a good flip. Now, the other two properties that we've seen using this technique, we've got properties that are going to be quite good for buy, refurbish, refinance, and just renting them out as a buy to let. I'm going to be doing other videos that run through other techniques to be able to find properties, to find deals that are going to stack and work for you. If you're happy, if you're interested in watching those, subscribe to this channel so you'll be able to get all the latest updates and see the rest of the videos that are going to be going out. Head over to PropertyData and you can jump into your local area to be able to analyse it, see what's going on and find deals exactly like that one on your doorstep. And here's the discount code if you didn't get it earlier. It's ZEB, and that's going to give you 50% off your first month. Just head over to Cutley, cutt.ly/PropertyData with capital P and capital D, and then you're going to be able to get in there and start using it and finding deals on your doorstep. When you go around, you'll find deals like that. There's quite a few properties in the area. There's going to be a few more coming on soon as well, but it's going to be an interesting market, full stop. But anyway, hopefully you've liked this video. Hopefully you subscribe to my channel. And there's plenty of other videos. If you take a look at the Secret Sauce series, teaching you and explaining exactly how I find deals. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye.